First row all the way to the left. Tim.
Tim Reynolds, AP. Tyrese, Rick said that there was a discussion at halftime about whether you should keep going or not, and that you insisted on playing, even though you're obviously laboring. What went into that decision, and how can you explain kind of how limited you were out there?
It's NBA Finals. It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete. Help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but it's not really a thought of mine to not play here. If I can walk, then I want to play. So they understand that, and is what it is, and got to be ready to go for Game 6.
First row on the right, Jamal.
How did you try to affect, even being limited, how did you try to affect the game in the second half? And then you guys got it down to 2 in the third or fourth quarter there. Just what do you think got away from you after that?
Yeah, just trying to keep pacing the game, impact whatever way I can. Just, trying to get P the ball in the right spots, trying to get guys the ball in the right spots if I can. And then as far as what happened there, we got to watch film to see it. We feel like we did a good job in the second half of, putting pace in the game and, really getting out and running. We thought we did a better job of that in the second half. But we really got to cut down on those turnovers. The turnovers are really killing us right now, especially in that first half. So we know we can be better there. We got to be ready to go for Game 6.
First row.
Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. Tyrese, first of all, do you believe this is kind of a continuation of that injury you had at Game 2 that we saw? And then secondly, what about those turnovers stood out? What were they doing that made things awfully difficult?
It's the same area, So, I don't know if they're related, but yeah, it's the same area. As far as the turnovers, again, that's the thing you really got to watch film on. I feel like some of them were self-inflicted. Obviously they're a great defensive team. They really swarm the ball, but we got to do a better job to take care of the ball. All 3 of our losses in this series have turnovers have been a big reason why. So, watch the film, see where we can get better. We got to do a better job to take care of the ball, if we want to have a chance in Game 6.
Third row on the right, Mark.
Mark Spears, ESPN's Landscape. At the beginning of the whole finals, you spoke on the history of the franchise, the generations of people, ticket-wise, how it's gone through families, just the pride of the city with this team. When you think about that, going into a game like that, knowing that this franchise has not won an NBA championship in its history, does that bring motivation? Does it bring pressure? Combination of both? Do you even think about that when you go home and you walk into that crowd?
Yeah, the thought is if you lose, the season's over. So our backs are against the wall. We take pride in playing at home in front of our fans, and our fans are amazing. So, we know they're going to come out with a ton of energy, in Game 6. So we're going to have to be able to respond, be better, and look forward to, the challenge. We got to take this a day at a time. Our backs are against the wall. You got to look at Game 6 like it's a Game 7. Losing is if you lose, your season's over. So we got to go in and take care of business. Just approach the game the right way. See where we can get better in film, and be ready to compete.
Have you felt the weight of the city at all in their dreams of having this?
I think that our city, our fans are, as hungry for this as we are as players, and that's a lot of fun. Competing and playing at the highest level is a lot of fun. We have fun, with this challenge, and nobody said this was going to be easy. So, we got to be ready to go for Game 6.
First row middle.
Just, I guess, kind of keeping going on this point. You guys have talked a lot about all the comebacks you've had in this season, not only in this playoffs, but before that. How much does all that kind of give you guys muscle memory for a situation like this when you are facing elimination?
Yeah, we've had our backs against the wall many times over the last 2 years. Had to figure out different ways to win. So, the way that this year has gone, nobody said that this was going to be sweet. It's kind of poetic that we're here, and we got to be ready to go for Game 6. Our backs are against the wall. It's a really tough team. We're going to go home and have to get ready on a couple days, and there shouldn't even be a conversation about Game 7 or anything like that. Like, this is the game, and so everybody's got to be prepared, and starts with me, and we all got to be better. That's just point blank period.
First row on the right.
Ty, this is the first time I felt like I've seen you guys in this playoffs get sped up by defense. Did you feel that way? And in what ways do you feel like that contributed to your turnovers?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think we got to be better. I honestly want to watch the film. See where, different areas. I feel like especially there in the fourth, we had some really bad turnovers. Me myself personally. So we just got to do a better job of getting spaced, getting downhill. I think that's the most important thing, keeping pace in the game. We really, got after in that second half, cut the lead down, and they just made, shot after shot, and, we didn't make enough plays that we needed to down the stretch. So, watch the film, see if we can get better, but 22 turnovers against a team like this is a recipe, for disaster. So I think that should be the main area that we focus on going into, the next game. And obviously we can be better on, many points on the court, but I think taking care of the ball is our biggest thing.
Last question in the middle, Dan.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Kind of along those lines. As frustrating as this outcome is, I think, to have gotten down so big and come back, what are the positives that you can take away from this as you go into Game 6?
I think the fight is always going to be there from this group, and we've shown that when our backs are against the wall, we have many different guys that can chip in, and we have shown that, we're always going to fight. So, going home, there's not a better opportunity than to fight, on your home floor. So, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun playing a win or go home game at our home. That's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to competing, and we'll be ready to go.
Thank you, Ty.